Chapter 13. Room for Error. What if the secret to financial success isn't about always being right, but about leaving room to be wrong? In Chapter 13 of The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel emphasizes the importance of building room for error into our financial plans. This idea isn't about being pessimistic. It's about being prepared, adaptable, and ultimately more resilient. In this session, we'll unpack why room for error is crucial in a world full of uncertainty, explore real-life examples, and dive into strategies you can apply today. By the end, you'll see why building a buffer isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. Section 1. What is room for error? Room for error is the cushion that allows you to absorb unexpected shocks without derailing your financial goals. It's the margin of safety that keeps you afloat when life throws curveballs. Key idea. Room for error doesn't mean you expect failure. It means you recognize uncertainty. Example. Imagine driving on a narrow road with no shoulder. One small mistake, and you're off the edge. Now imagine a wide road with plenty of room to veer slightly. That's what room for error does for your finances. Reflection. Do you have enough room for error in your financial life right now? Section 2. The importance of humility. Housel argues that no one can predict the future perfectly. Not economists, not investors, and certainly not individuals. Room for error is a recognition of this reality. Illustration. Think about the dot-com bubble or the 2008 financial crisis. Even the smartest investors couldn't see these events coming. Room for error allows you to survive when predictions fail. Challenge. How often do you make decisions based on confidence rather than caution? Section 3. The role of optimism and resilience. Housel highlights that optimism and room for error go hand in hand. Optimism says, the future will be better, but room for error adds, and I'll survive if it's not. Key point. Optimism without a safety net can lead to reckless decisions. Resilience is built when you combine optimism with preparation. Takeaway. You can be hopeful about the future while still planning for the worst. Section 4. Practical applications of room for error. Let's explore how to build room for error into your financial life. Emergency savings. Aim to have at least 3 to 6 months' worth of living expenses in cash. This cushion protects you from job losses or unexpected costs. 2. Conservative assumptions. When planning for retirement, assume lower returns than the historical average. This ensures you won't outlive your money. 3. Debt management. Avoid over-leveraging. Too much debt leaves no room for error if income drops. Reflection. Which of these strategies can you start implementing today? Section 5. Learning from history. History is filled with examples of people and organizations that failed because they didn't leave room for error. Case study. In 1912, the Titanic sank because it didn't carry enough lifeboats, a literal lack of room for error. In contrast, companies like Amazon have succeeded by consistently over-preparing, such as maintaining large cash reserves. Takeaway. Preparation often seems excessive until it's not. Section 6. Applying room for error to investments. Investing is one of the most critical areas where room for error matters. Key points. 1. Avoid all-in bets. Never assume a single investment will save you. Diversify instead. 2. Time horizons. Give your investments time to recover from downturns. Short-term thinking often leads to panic. Example. During the 2020 pandemic crash, investors who had room for error could hold steady, while those without had to sell at a loss. Reflection. How can you adjust your investment strategy to include more room for error? Section 7. The emotional side of room for error. Leaving room for error isn't just about math. It's about peace of mind. Knowing you have a buffer reduces anxiety and helps you make better decisions. Illustration. Imagine losing your job, but knowing you have a year's worth of savings. Contrast that with someone living paycheck to paycheck. The stress alone can cloud judgment. Takeaway. Room for error. buys you time and mental clarity. Section 8. Room for error in decision-making. Room for error applies beyond finances. It's a principle for life. Examples. In career planning, avoid taking on roles that stretch you too thin. In relationships, allow for flexibility and forgiveness. Key idea: the most successful people are those who plan for failure, not just success. Challenge: what areas of your life need more room for error? Section 9. The balance between risk and reward. Room for error doesn't mean avoiding risk entirely. It's about balancing risk with preparedness. Key insight: take calculated risks, but ensure you can recover if things don't go as planned. Example: entrepreneurs who build room for error in their business models can survive downturns and thrive in the long term. Reflection: are you balancing risk and reward effectively in your decisions? Section 10. Building your financial safety net. Housel provides actionable advice for creating a robust financial safety net. Save more than you think you need. 2. Invest conservatively. 3. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Don't let your expenses rise with your income. Call to action. Start small, but start today. What's one step you can take to build more room for error into your financial life? Conclusion: thriving in uncertainty. Room for error isn't just a financial strategy, it's a mindset. It's about embracing uncertainty with preparation and humility. Final thought: life will surprise you. Markets will surprise you. But with enough room for error, those surprises won't break you. They'll make you stronger. Take this lesson to heart. Build your buffer. Protect your future. And remember, resilience isn't built overnight, but it starts with a single decision. What will yours be? Chapter 14. You will change. Have you ever thought about how much you've changed over the last decade? Your preferences, beliefs, and even your financial goals likely look different today compared to 10 years ago. Chapter 14 of The Psychology of Money delves into a fundamental truth about life and money. You will change. Morgan Housel explains that one of the most overlooked aspects of financial planning is accounting for how our values, priorities, and circumstances evolve over time. This chapter challenges us to embrace the inevitability of change and make financial decisions that respect our future selves. In this audiobook, we'll explore why understanding the fluid nature of our identities is key to achieving financial success. We'll break down how to balance the present and future, anticipate change, and make decisions that create long-term flexibility. By the end, you'll be armed with a new perspective that pushes you to think critically, adapt actively, and take charge of your financial journey. Section 1. The End of History Illusion. Housel introduces a fascinating concept from psychology called the end of history illusion. This is the idea that while we recognize how much we've changed in the past, we underestimate how much we'll change in the future. Key insight: people often assume their current preferences and values are fixed, but they are not. Example: think about your tastes in music, fashion, or even friendships 10 years ago. Now imagine how those preferences might evolve 10 years from now. Reflection: what financial decisions are you making today, based on the assumption that your future self will think exactly like your current self? Section 2. Balancing present and future needs. One of the biggest financial challenges is striking a balance between living for today and saving for tomorrow. Key points. 1. Living only for today can leave you unprepared for future changes. Sacrificing too much for tomorrow can rob you of joy and opportunity now. Illustration: imagine someone who spends all their income on luxuries, assuming they'll always earn the same amount. Now picture someone who saves every penny, never enjoying life in the present. Neither approach respects the inevitability of change. Actionable question: are your current financial habits flexible enough to adapt to a future where your priorities might look very different? Section 3. The Danger of Anchoring. Housel warns against anchoring, fixating on a specific goal or identity without allowing room for growth. Example: someone might dream of retiring at 40, but by the time they're 35, they might value work or community differently. Similarly, an investment portfolio designed for a 30-year-old may not suit their needs at 50. Takeaway: flexibility is more important than certainty. Challenge: think about a major financial goal you've set. How can you build flexibility into that plan to accommodate future change? Section 4. Money and Identity. Housel highlights how money becomes intertwined with identity, often limiting our willingness to change. Key insight: people resist changing financial strategies because they see it as a betrayal of their past decisions or values. Case study: consider an entrepreneur who refuses to pivot their business model because they've invested too much time or money into it. This stubbornness can lead to failure instead of adaptation. Reflection: what financial habits or beliefs are you holding on to because they feel like part of your identity? Section 5. Planning for the unknown. The inevitability of change means that financial plans must account for uncertainty. Strategies for flexibility. SAI. Save more than you think you need. A larger financial cushion gives you room to adjust when life takes unexpected turns. 2. Invest broadly. Diversify your investments to protect against shifts in industries or economies. 3. Keep options open. Avoid locking yourself into decisions that can't be reversed. Example: instead of buying the most expensive house you qualify for, choose one that leaves you with financial breathing room. Takeaway: flexibility is a superpower in a world that's constantly changing. Section 6. The role of time. Housel emphasizes the relationship between time and change. The longer the time horizon, the more opportunities for unexpected shifts. Key insight: a decision that feels perfect today may be irrelevant, or even harmful, a decade from now. Illustration: imagine a 25-year-old who invests heavily in tech stocks because they're trending. At 45, they might wish they had diversified into more stable options. Challenge: how are you preparing for the long-term uncertainties in your financial life? Section 7. Embracing change as growth. Housel argues that change isn't something to fear. It's a sign of growth. Key points. 1. Changing your mind is not a weakness. It's a strength. 2. Financial plans should evolve alongside your personal growth and external circumstances. Example: a person who once prioritized career advancement might later value family time more. Their financial goals should shift to reflect that change. Reflection: what areas of your life and finances need to evolve to match who you're becoming? Section 8. Practical tips for adapting to change. Let's dive into actionable strategies for building a financial life that adapts to change. So, reassess regularly. Review your financial goals and strategies at least once a year. 2. Stay curious. Keep learning about personal finance and investments to adapt to new opportunities. 3. Accept uncertainty. Plan for change rather than trying to predict it. Takeaway: a good financial plan is not about being perfect. It's about being adaptable. Conclusion: living with change. As Morgan Housel reminds us, change is inevitable. The question isn't whether you'll change, but whether you'll plan for it. Final thought: your future self is counting on you to leave room for growth, flexibility, and adaptation. By embracing change, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. So, what will you do today to prepare for the person you'll become tomorrow?